It's like the old adage, mama ain't happy, nobody's happy.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine. In my thoughts, obsession. I will not stop, no, I'm never second guessing. I got a God complex. Haters love to hate, but I never feel pressed. Got a lot on my plate, but I never get stressed. I'll take all the pressure like I'm acing this test. Tear it up like I'm Jason. I see the world like it's ready for the taking. I see this place like a game I'm playing. Straight to the bank to collect my payments. No negotiations, it's my way, I was born impatient. And like a damn Freemason, I'll run this nation.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
I don't know how to stop. I just go till I drop. Whether it's working or shots, give it all that I got. You can watch me work in my element. Anyone in the way is irrelevant. You wanna cross me, cool, not intelligent. Cause I don't forget shit like an elephant. Go ahead and tempt me, put it on the line and you'll come up empty. If I got time, I'm deadly. Never caught off guard, no, I'm always ready. I got a hand real steady. Look me in the eye and you'll see no hezzy. About to get real messy. I'll put you in a grid 6 feet like Kenny.
They call me a god.
It is just the latest bizarre twist in a saga stretching from Idaho to Arizona to Hawaii that includes the missing kids, a curious trail of deaths surrounding the couple, and accusations of belonging to a Doomsday group and wanting to rid the world of zombies. In September of 2019, Lori moved JJ and Tylee to Idaho. After months of no contact, the grandparents, Kay and Larry, asked police to conduct a welfare check.
She never would respond to anything. Text, voicemails, emails, nothing.
When police went to Lori's home, they discovered not only was JJ missing, but so was Tylee. Authorities allege Lori and Chad told police a series of lies.
Wants you to tell the truth?
Chad acted as if he didn't know Lori very well, the authorities said. He didn't know her phone number, according to the affidavit. And Lori's brother told the police that JJ was with his grandma, Kay. Authorities say it was a clear lie, since Kay first called in the missing child report. Lori herself told police JJ was in Gilbert, Arizona with a friend. The day after that police visit, the couple vanished, showing up 2 months later in Hawaii.
Can you tell me where your kids are, Chad and Lori? Can you tell me where your kids are?
Lori and Chad refused multiple times to answer questions about the welfare of their
I
kids.
just wanted to ask you, are the kids okay? Can you tell me?
I just can't comment. 30 minutes of process.
Okay. And why can't you comment?
Legal reasons. Attorney told me not to speak.
In November, Chad and Lori got married on a beach in Hawaii, but neither JJ nor Tylee was there for the celebration. Their wedding just 2 weeks after Chad's former wife, Tammy, died of, quote, natural causes. But in this week's indictment, prosecutors say Lori and Chad exchanged text messages claiming Tammy was possessed by a spirit named Viola, and alleging that Chad received $430,000 from a life insurance policy after Tammy's death.
We're processing a lot of evidence that has been accumulated.
He is now facing first-degree murder charges in connection with her death. In late January 2020, authorities in Idaho demanded Lori physically produce the children within 5 days, but no children surfaced, and in February, Lori was arrested in Hawaii.
The demand has been made for your surrender by the state of Idaho. Yes. Know that you have been charged in the state of Idaho with a number of charges.
The 47-year-old faced with 5 charges, including 2 felony counts of desertion and non-support of a dependent child.
We would request that bail be reduced.
So what specific amount are you asking?
I'm asking for $10,000.
But a judge declared her a flight risk, and her bail was set at $5 million.
What I want to reiterate is that we are all hopeful that we are able to locate the missing children.
We know it's a positive step forward. We also know that as good as this news is as bad as it is also because we still don't have children.
A week later, Lori was smiling at times as she was read the charges in an Idaho courtroom, but still no sign of the missing children. In June of last year, authorities executed a search warrant and Chad's property was dug up, captured by East Idaho News. The children's remains were found and he was arrested. But murder charges against the couple were just filed this week.
The prosecution's murder case is very strong because there's so many different avenues in which they can get a conviction. They can say that one of the two of them, being Chad or Lori, either assisted, actually did the killing, encouraged someone, or commanded them to do so.
According to the latest indictment, they, quote, espouse religious beliefs for the purpose of justifying the homicide of JJ and Tylee. Last year, friends told investigators Chad and Lori believed they were part of the, quote, Church of the Firstborn. And their mission was to rid the world of zombies. At least one friend telling investigators Lori believed her children had turned into zombies, that JJ was considered a dark spirit, and that a person's true spirit was stuck until the host body is physically killed.
Some of the responsibility of all this kind of like fringe Mormon doctrine stuff really does lie at the feet of the leaders of the Mormon church and of the past and present, because all sorts of crazy things were taught by Joseph Smith, by Brigham Young in the Journal of Discourses, by various prophets, including, Joseph Fielding Smith and Joseph F. Smith. If you want to have a crazy belief, you can find it stated by someone who the Mormon church teaches is a prophet, seer, and revelator. Someone who speaks to God and speaks for God and Jesus. And the problem is and of course that happens over 200 years of kind of, a religious evolution. But the problem is, because the Mormon church teaches its members that its leaders, its prophets and apostles speak to and for God, they never feel comfortable as a church denouncing very much, because as soon as current prophets and apostles denounce a statement of a previous prophet or apostle, well, then that begs the question, then why should we listen to prophets and apostles now if Brigham Young taught, if you're going to denounce the Brigham Young's blood atonement doctrine or Brigham Young's Adam God theory or, Joseph Smith's teaching around theosis and men and women becoming gods. If you're going to denounce that stuff, well, then why should we listen to you now? And what this allows is a free-for-all of Mormons being able to reach into any point in its past and to claim doctrines as having prophetic authority. And it's a real pickle, and it's what allows a lot of this stuff to fester. Joseph Smith. But if you study the life of Joseph Smith in the 1820s, before he ever became a religious leader, he was a believer in the occult. He was a believer in folk magic. And the way that Joseph Smith gained his power was by creating the perception that he had special powers. In Joseph Smith's case, it was the ability to take a stone and put it in the hat and lead people around to find buried treasure. And even when treasure wasn't found, Joseph Smith could use his imagination to make people believe that an angel took the treasure away right before they dug and found it, that sort of thing. And so Joseph Smith, the central to his power was the ability to make people believe he had special powers, and he used artifacts like the Jupiter talisman, like his seer stone, etc. And when I start hearing in this book about him meeting with people in private, telling them, saying that he has the ability to do readings of their aura and how what is it, clear, or that's Scientology, how much light they were versus darkness, to be able to tell them who they were in a past existence. For me, this is Chad Daybell taking a page not out of Joseph Smith's book, but out of any cult leader's book, to develop the perception in the people around him that he is a gifted one with special powers. And so I'm just curious if any of the panelists saw Joseph Smith in Chad Daybell. Or I can say, growing up as a Mormon, the idea of a zombie, that's something I've never heard of before. I can't say that part specifically is Mormon in any way, shape, or form from my experience. That's completely left field. Although I can see how they get there. I wrote down in a note, this took, in addition to just basic human desires and, midlife crisis stuff and marital dynamics and everything. Some of the key dynamics are, a belief in gifts, a belief in spirits that inhabit the body, very Mormon, a belief in specialness, very Mormon, a belief in polygamy and in multiple partners, and then a belief in the end times. And you put all those things together, and then if somebody's acting the way you don't like, and you believe, and another thing is, I was absolutely raised with the belief that, this is really key. We were all taught as part of the core Plan of Salvation 101 that, all of God's spirit children were up in heaven during this council. A third of those spirit children of God's followed Satan, and that they were all cast out into the world, and that we are surrounded by 3 gazillion evil spirits that are constantly trying to tempt us. And so that's another part of the formula that I can see leads to this belief in zombies. Because if you then add a little bit of exorcism in there, then anyone you don't like, well, clearly they've been taken over by one of the evil spirits. And if they've been taken over by one of the evil spirits, well, maybe their spirit's already passed on. And so if that's the case, then maybe murder isn't murder, because at this point, it's just a body that's inhabited by an evil spirit. It is not even fringe Mormonism. All I can say is I can see how the dots get connected and people can get there theologically.
The murder cases captivating this country, there is no such murder case that has so many layers. You have dead former lovers, missing bodies of children in a field. You have zombies, you have spirits. There's so many interesting layers to this case that people can't stop watching.
Authorities in Arizona are also considering whether to file charges against Lori, this time for the death of her former husband and JJ's father, Charles. For Nightline, I'm Marcus Moore.
What this Doomsday couple was up to, and specifically woven into the LDS religion in some way. And there's this strange relationship that we have seemingly uncovered through our coverage of the story and peeling back the layers of this relationship between the Doomsday couple and the Church of Latter-day Saints. And the LDS Church has also started to play a role in what is happening inside the courtroom as well. So we have a lot to get to, but I want to begin here. Chad Daybell, the Doomsday prophet, the one who is making all these predictions, at one point was closely aligned, it seems, with the LDS Church. And Eric Smith is a friend of his who spoke with Court TV about Chad Daybell and his religious beliefs and what sort of happened. And I think it's important to hear this because we've got some blockbuster news coming up. So take a listen first.
Chad's message, I think, started innocently enough. His belief system started innocently. I think he meant to do good. Somewhere along the way, something's changed. I think I see some greed, some pride, even some lust, entering this man. I don't want to be his judge, but it's hard not to recognize those in him. It's unfortunate to watch somebody slowly slip like that. and especially to go this far. Chad has taught some things that are now, they're new to the public and they're disturbing. He has a very dark twist on something that I believe to be more pure.
And it's that dark twist that really got us to where we are, right? And at least that's going to be the theory of prosecutors in the case against him. But now let's bring in Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter, who has some exclusive breaking news for us tonight. And it's right on this issue, that relationship between Chad Daybell, the Doomsday Prophet, and the LDS Church. What do you have for us tonight, Chanley?
Vinny, we can now confirm that Chad Daybell is no longer a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He has been excommunicated. This is something that has been speculated about for years. We have confirmation. In fact, here are the letters that were mailed to Chad Daybell after he was arrested in June 2020 when the remains of Tylee and JJ were discovered on his property. He was taken into custody. Well, here are the letters sent to him at the Fremont County Jail. The first one was dated July 14th, 2020. It says, "Dear Brother Daybell, this letter is to notify you that the stake presidency is holding a membership council in your behalf. The membership council will be held August 2nd, 2020, 10 a.m. This council will consider evidence of apostasy, including promulgating teachings and doctrines which are contrary to those of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints." It further says he was invited to provide a written statement to the council on his behalf, written statements from other persons, relevant information on his behalf to this membership council. This was a letter July 14th. The next letter to Mr. Daybell was dated August 9th, 2020. Now this letter says, "Dear Brother Daybell, this letter is to notify you of the decision of the membership council held for you on August 2nd, 2020. The council decision was to withdraw your membership in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for conduct contrary to the laws and order of the church, specifically for apostasy and for promulgating teachings and doctrines contrary to those of the church." So this decision means, according to this letter, that Chad Daybell no longer enjoys the privileges of church membership. He cannot enter the temple or wear temple garments. He may not exercise the priesthood or pay tithes and offerings. It says he would be invited to attend public church meetings, but he could not, only if conduct is orderly. So this is what this letter says. He had a right to an appeal within 30 days, and it's signed by the president, William Dalling, the Henry Fork Stake president there in Rexburg. Now, Vinny, the same source who provided me this correspondence advised that these letters were delivered to the Fremont County Jail, but Chad did not receive them until a month after the date of the second letter here. So way after September 2nd, 2020, too late to respond. The source close to Chad Daybell also says that any rumor of a previous excommunication or reinstatement for Chad Daybell, that would be false. And of course, we did reach out to the LDS Church and that stake president who signed the letters, and they said they could not comment on the letters, saying it was confidential matter, and they don't usually comment about membership status. So remember that Chad was arrested during this time, but it's important to keep in mind that this letter, Vinny, is only for his alleged, his teachings, but not any criminal activity. So that's clear by these letters.
And what's clear to me, I mean, you've been out there, right? To East Idaho, to Rexburg, Fremont County, that whole area. That is heavily dominated by the church, right?
It really is. There's a huge temple right there, downtown Rexburg, Idaho. Most of the residents in that Madison County, Fremont County, are members of the LDS Church. Most of the people that we spoke to there, there's a BYU campus there in Madison County. So it's very much ingrained in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so this is something that has been talked about. We finally have confirmation and know exactly what happened.
And it's not insignificant.
They're members of the church. This didn't happen until after Chad Daybell was arrested. And if Lori is making phone calls allegedly to the LDS Council,
who then calls the prosecutor,
right?
She calls the church, a lawyer with the church, talking presumably, at least allegedly, about her case, and then the attorney for the church turns around and calls the prosecutor in the case. who's also a member of the church.
Yes, a former bishop of the church, Vinny. Rob Wood, the special prosecutor there on this case. So, and a lot of the people in the court, the judge, those locals, part of this trial, members of the LDS faith, that is well known. I will point out it is possible in the LDS faith to be reinstated. If you've been excommunicated, you can return to the church if you repent and
yeah, that could happen. But this is significant for the case in many levels when the church is this much interwoven.
Does anyone think there's any question that some of the beliefs of the church will be put on trial as far as being a defense? Or I wonder if that's an aspect to it. We've kind of been discussing that in the book club.
I think prosecutors have said that they were going to be talking some about how these were motivated by a belief system, but that's as much as I know.
I can just say, I don't know if this will come as a shock to any of you. Mindy and I have talked about this, but Chad Daybell's attorney, John Pryor, reached out to me and asked if I would consider being a witness for this case to talk about how Mormon, some of the beliefs and doctrines and theologies are. And that gave me the impression that at least in Chad's case, there's going to be some discussion about whether the church bears any blame or culpability for some of the beliefs that eventually emerged. That's my speculation, but I declined. Mindy said don't do it, and so I didn't do it. Whatever Mindy tells me, actually Margie, my wife, is like, you will not be testifying in this case. So I politely declined. Mindy, do you have anything you want to add about that?
I'm laughing because when you told me that Pryor contacted you, I'm like, and didn't he say that Chad was a fan of Mormon stories? I was like, really?
Yeah, he did. He did. He did say
Yeah,
that, and
I mean,
I wasn't sure about that. The other thing I'll say is
Yeah.
I when I told John I couldn't do it, I thought of who else knows law that knows Mormonism really well, and I thought of Radio Free Mormon. And if you guys will forgive my swearing, I asked Radio Free Mormon if he wanted to be a witness on this case, and he said, "Fuck no."
I don't blame him.
So
Yeah.
anyway, I don't know if that answers your question, but anyway, I thought I'd throw